Now with this coronavirus going on, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm going to wait to get life insurance when I get older," or whatever the case may be. They're
Hmm.
just not thinking about life insurance until now. Once a crisis like this happens, they're like,
Hmm.
"Wow," families are like, "I wish so and so had life insurance." Can you kind of share what age category do you have to be to actually start thinking about getting life insurance?
Well, actually, it's no age. Soon as you're born, soon as you have a baby, you can actually get them life insurance. You can even get it um before they have their social security number. You can do pending on the social security number, so you can get it as soon as they're here.
I'd like to talk about maybe like one or two scenarios. A lot of times, people relate more when they hear a story. Can you give me? There's one particular story that I heard recently where someone wanted to get insurance, and they
Hmm.
said, "I'm going to Trinidad. When I come back, I'm going to get my life insurance." They went to Trinidad and never came back. So, what do you say to the procrastinators? People are like, "I'm going to wait," And secondly, also just share a story of, I think you shared a story one time on the podcast of an experience that a family encountered, or someone encountered.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So to say to the procrastinators exactly what happened, that happens. There was another scenario of um in my office. It was an agent who, it was these two, it was a spouse, a husband and a wife. They had three children. They were both doctors,
right.
and he had been trying to get these doctors to sign up for months, and they kept saying they want to do it, but they didn't make it a priority. Work was a priority, kids activities was a priority. Anyway, they were saying they were going to go away this weekend, and when they got back, that they would get this insurance. And they have three children. They went away, just the husband and the wife, not the kids, and they got into a bad car accident and both of them died. And so these kids, obviously they went from having parents that both make over $500,000 a piece, living in a nice big house. They had nothing set up, didn't have a will, didn't, they just didn't have nothing set up. And the thing about transferring your assets to a child, that has to be something set up, because children are not of age to collect most things, right? So you have to have somebody in place, that is going to take care of these children. And they didn't have anything in place. And I felt really bad for the children when the agent told us the story. Like, everything is changing for them. They have to find somebody to take care of them. They may not be all together, all of these different things. And
No
they didn't
private
have
school. If you want private
all,
school,
they were in private school. That was it. That ended quick.
how are the insurance agencies handling these cases right now?
They're making the death claims easy for you to be able to get your money. They're also, I know, like New York Life is actually, telling us to contact our clients and see, if they need money from their policy, that they can go ahead and, borrow from their policy if you have a whole life policy. Um, and like for us, for the agents to still be able to get insurance to everybody, they now have set up Zoom for us to be able to have our meetings, so we don't have to go see anybody to protect the client and ourselves. This is one of the most common stories that happen, that I'm about to say is, Coach Carter had put up a story saying that his mom had a insurance policy, a term insurance policy, for 30 years. And at the end of the 30 years, the 31st year, she passed away. She didn't have any whole life, right? She only had term. And so what I tell people when I'm doing insurance for people, I never let them just get term. I always say, listen, even if our budget is low, let's do at least 25,000. It's a burial size policy. 25,000 a whole life, if we could fit it in, to get that, just in case you never listen to me to convert this policy. When your term ends, you still have something, right? Enough for that, at least, and that's what I typically say. Like, if somebody's budget doesn't really allow us to get a large amount of whole life, which is fine, we'll do majority in term, but I always say let's do at least 25,000, because what happens on the 21st year that you're not thinking about it, right? Because think about this. If somebody sets you up with insurance today, you don't do insurance. You're like, I have insurance. Your brain says, I have insurance. I don't got to worry, right? So now 20 years later, you haven't been thinking about this. All you remember is you have insurance. You probably at that point forgot what kind of insurance you had. And so now you forget, and you get this letter saying your insurance is about to end. And now you're scared because the price is a lot more because it's 20 years later. So you don't jump on it right away, because financially, a lot of people who are in their 60s are on fixed income. Right. So now they're worried, like, oh my goodness, how I'm gonna get this insurance? How am I paying? You kind of leave it alone. And then what happens when you pass away? Now you have nothing. The reason why we say building wealth with life insurance is really for two things. One, obviously, when you pass away, you're leaving behind tax-free money for pennies on a dollar. So it's like if you had $1 million policy, you didn't pay $1 million for it. So you may not have even been worth $1 million, but you were able to leave behind $1 million. So it's leverage on your money, right? You may make $60,000 a year and have $1 million policy. So if you leave that behind, you built that next generation in your family up. Leaving life insurance behind to your family members changes the community. And that's why I tell people, if everybody left money behind to their family members, think about how different the community would be. When you're getting insurance, just to be clear, when you purchase insurance, it's to replace your income and to cover any liabilities that you have, right? So different liabilities could be mortgages on your properties, can be taxes on properties that you have paid off, can be whatever your liabilities are. It could be things you're paying for your kids, for your wife, for whatever, right? You could be in debt. If you're married, you might share debt, right? So whatever those liabilities are, you want to cover with the insurance, and it's about what you can afford. So that's why when you purchase life insurance, they ask you, what's your net worth? What's your annual salary? What's your liquid assets? What's this, right? Because they want to know, if somebody is saying they make 30 grand, they would question, why do you want $3 million of insurance? Because you might be able to afford a term policy for $3 million if you're 25, 30 years old, right? Because it wouldn't be that expensive. So it has to match with your lifestyle.
Thankfully, my parents are not stubborn. I told my father, I said, listen, you own assets. I'm not fighting with no sibling or no one for your assets. I have my own, and I need you to write a will. I need you to express what you want in a will, because when someone passes away and that person who passes away has assets, forget about it.
Mayhem. Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you all my clients that go through mayhem. A will is like a blueprint, right? And it's really for you to say, this, I know what this person wants. Right. But it's not an enforcer.
Yeah, right? It's contestable. And the will can actually go in a trust. So it doesn't trust. Now, granted, we have to tell people trusts are not inexpensive. Right. Trusts are very expensive. However, you can pay little by little, because that's a whole different story. But you put the will into a trust.
Mm-hmm. But it's important. I mean, when you start having 4 and 5 properties, you really need to have a trust. If you're leaving it to a particular person, and you may have people fighting for it, this way it's no argument. If you have assets and different things, and you got multiple siblings and kids and this and that, very similar. I don't know if you guys watch the show Power, like how Ghost left the trust and determined who gets what at what age, at what point, what they got to do. That's what a trust allows you to do. You can find me on my Instagram is at Lindsay Smith the Agent. It's at the top, right? Yeah, I see it. It's at the top. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions regarding life insurance, retirement planning, IRAs, any of that kind of stuff, you can hit me up in the DM, or in my bio, I have a calendar where you can schedule an appointment if you want to set up your life insurance.